Every man knows what it feels like to be underestimated. To have people look at you and silently decide you're nothing special. To have friends, family, teachers, even strangers write a version of your future that you never agreed to. Maybe they laughed at your goals. Maybe they told you to be realistic. Maybe they treated you like you were average, like you'd never become anything more than what you were in that moment. And maybe a part of you believed them. But here's the truth: most men never hear. The world not believing in you is the greatest advantage you'll ever have. When nobody expects anything from you, you're free to become whoever the hell you want. When they underestimate you, they're not predicting your future. They're exposing the limits of their own imagination. But you know what really stings? Not that they doubted you, but that you doubted yourself right alongside them. You shaped your identity around their low expectations. You played small. You held back. You waited for someone to validate you before you took action. You lived like a man seeking permission instead of a man building a legacy. And now you're here, with two choices: stay the man they think you are, or become the man they never saw coming. That transformation doesn't start with motivation. It doesn't start with hype. It starts with brutal honesty, with facing the fact that the man you've been is not the man you're meant to stay. This video is about that process: the shift, the break, the rise, what it really takes to rebuild yourself into a man who earns respect not through words, but through undeniable results. So let's get into it. Because the man nobody believed you could be, he's waiting for you to stop wasting time. Most men spend their whole lives trying to prove themselves to people who never believed in them in the first place. They waste years chasing approval from friends, family, teachers, exes, society, all trying to earn validation from people who don't even respect themselves. But here's the twist nobody tells you. Being doubted is the greatest advantage a man can have. When people underestimate you, they're not predicting your limit. They're revealing their own. Their lack of belief in you is not about your capability, your potential, or your future. It's about the narrow world they live in, the small mind they operate from, the mediocre standards they've settled for. Most people don't believe in greatness because they've never seen it in themselves, so they project that onto you. And if you're not careful, you start believing their projections. You start living down to their expectations. You begin playing roles you never chose. The quiet one. The average one. The should-be realistic one. The you're not built for that one. They turn you into a character in their limited story, and you unknowingly accept the script. But strong men, relentless men, flip that script. They understand something weak men never will. Being doubted frees you. Once people stop expecting anything from you, you have nothing to prove and everything to build. When the world doesn't believe in you, you can pivot without judgment. You can fail without shame. You can rebuild without anyone noticing. You can grow in silence. You can become dangerous without anyone seeing it coming. Doubt becomes your incubator, your training ground, your private arena where you sharpen yourself without noise, without pressure, without eyes on you. Because here's the truth: nothing is more lethal than a man no one sees coming. The man they ignored, the man they dismissed, the man they laughed at, the man they forgot about. That man is free from expectations, from noise, from comparison, and that freedom is where transformation actually begins. You don't need them to believe in you. You need to stop living like their belief matters. The world doubting you is not a barrier, it's a gift. A quiet signal from life saying, start building. They're not watching. Become unrecognizable. The greatest version of you will always be built in the shadows, far away from the opinions of people who never had the courage to build themselves. Every man wants a better life, but very few men ever build one. Not because they're weak, not because they're incapable, but because they're still wearing the identity that life forced on them years ago. You cannot become the man nobody believed in while holding on to the version of yourself that let them underestimate you. And this is the part most men never confront. Your old identity is the enemy, not your circumstances, not your past, not your mistakes. It's the identity you walk around with, the one that tells you, I'm not good enough. This is just who I am. I've always been like this. I don't have what it takes. People like me don't win. That's not self-awareness. That's programming. Programming from childhood, failure, rejection, and a lifetime of low expectations. And if you don't destroy that identity, it will rebuild itself every time you try to rise. Here's the truth. The man you want to become can't grow inside the man you're pretending to be. If you want to transform, you must be willing to bury the weaker version of yourself, mentally, emotionally, and behaviorally. That means killing off the habits that kept you average, the excuses that kept you stagnant, the mindset that kept you playing small, the self-image that kept you quiet, the emotional reactions that kept you predictable. Because the old you wasn't a phase. He was a prison. And every time you slip back into those patterns, skipping discipline, choosing comfort, chasing distractions, you're reinforcing the bars. Strong men understand this. Transformation is not adding more to your life. It's removing what no longer aligns with the man you want to become. It's subtraction, not addition. You remove weakness. You remove softness. You remove hesitation. You remove the voices that told you to settle. You remove the part of you that flinched when life punched you in the mouth. And slowly, a new identity emerges. A man who trusts himself. A man who follows through. A man who sets standards and lives by them. A man whose actions match the future he's building. A man who doesn't need permission to level up. That's when everything changes. Not because your external world changed, but because you changed. Your identity is the foundation. When you shift it, your habits change. Your boundaries change. Your appetite for mediocrity disappears. Your tolerance for weakness disappears. Your direction becomes sharp and clear. The man nobody believed you could be isn't some mythical version of you. He's the version of you that emerges the second you stop clinging to your old identity and finally decide that the old you is dead. There's a point in every man's life where talking stops mattering, where explaining stops mattering, where trying to prove yourself stops mattering, and the only thing that counts is what you build, what you become, and what you do consistently. Because becoming the man nobody believed you could be isn't about motivation, it's about execution. And here's the truth you need to swallow. Your future is not built by intensity. It's built by consistency. Anyone can grind for a week. Anyone can be disciplined when they're emotional, hyped, or inspired. But very few men can wake up every day and do the hard things when nobody's clapping, nobody's watching, and nobody believes in them. That's where separation happens. 1. You start building in silence. You don't announce your goals. You don't broadcast your improvements. You don't chase validation for the work you're doing. You grind quietly. You lift quietly. You improve quietly. You rise quietly. Silence becomes your weapon because silence removes pressure, and pressure is what keeps weak men stuck. 2. You create non-negotiables. Every strong man has standards that don't move. Wake-up time, training, discipline routines, money habits, self-respect, emotional control. These are not goals. These are obligations. You don't negotiate with your weaknesses. You don't argue with your feelings. You don't let comfort drag you back to the man they believed you'd always be. Your habits become harder than your excuses. 3. You choose isolation over distraction. To rise, you will outgrow people, friends who stay stuck, partners who slow you down, environments that keep you small. And here's the painful truth. The next level of your life will require you to leave behind people who loved the older version of you, because they can't follow the man you're becoming. Isolation is where clarity forms. Isolation is where purpose strengthens. Isolation is where you meet the version of yourself you've been avoiding. Most men run from alone time. Strong men use it to build their empire. 4. You become results-focused. You stop talking. You stop explaining. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You let the work speak. And eventually, results start stacking. Your body improves. Your bank account grows. Your discipline becomes consistent. Your energy changes. Your presence sharpens. Your confidence becomes real. Your standards rise. Your old habits die. Your old environment feels too small for you. This is where people start paying attention. This is where friends who doubted you start watching you quietly. This is where exes feel the shift. This is where strangers respect you without knowing why. You didn't become loud. You became undeniable. 5. You become the man they never saw coming. Not because you wanted revenge. Not because you wanted validation. Not because you wanted to prove anything to anyone. But because you finally proved something to yourself. You built a life that contradicts every limitation they put on your name. You built a body, a mindset, a purpose, and a presence that nobody could have predicted. You became a man forged by discipline, hardened by silence, and sharpened by the grind. And now they see what you were capable of the whole time. Now they speak differently when your name comes up. Now they tell stories about you. Now they pretend they always believed in you. But you know the truth. They didn't create this version of you. They inspired it by doubting you. And nothing is more powerful than a man who used doubt as fuel and became unrecognizable. If there's one thing you should take from this video, it's this. You were never limited by who you are, only by who you thought you were allowed to become. And the second you stop living inside other people's expectations, you finally unlock the version of yourself that was waiting behind all the doubt, the noise, and the excuses. Becoming the man nobody believed you could be isn't an accident. It's a choice. A choice you make every day when you show up with discipline, purpose, and a standard that doesn't move for anyone. So if this hit you, if this woke something up in you, do the smart thing. Hit the like button so the algorithm pushes this to more men who need it. Drop a comment and tell me what you're building next. I read every single one. And subscribe because this channel is where men come to evolve, to harden, and to rise in silence. This is Relentless Man. Become undeniable. Become unshakable. And as always, rise above the noise.